Hello and welcome to the Dutching channel. It's Wednesday the 24th of April 2024 and we're approaching 7:20 in the evening, and we're a little bit earlier today because we've only done two meetings on the flat at Catterick and Gowran Park, and there was no bet for us in the last at Gowran Park, which is in around 5 minutes from now from recording. So let's have a look at how we've done with those two meetings. Let's go to the profit and loss sheet. We'll see on that profit and loss sheet that there was only 9 betting races today, which was stakes of £450, and we returned 547.12. So a net profit there today of £97.12 to £50 stakes. So the profit now, if you start looking there at all the days of profit, it's beginning to look a lot better than it did. As we know, I don't want to keep repeating every time I come on here, but the 1st, the 2nd and the 8th of this month were horrendous, and it weren't too good on the 13th either. But now we've got some kind of pattern forming where we've actually gone in front, and you'll see to a £50 stake at the moment the profit would have been £552.76 this month, or if you're doing it for anything from a divisible down to a pound, you would be £11.06 or £11.06 in front for your pound stakes over 352 bets. But of course, you know, when I go back to the start of this month and look at how terrible it was, I wasn't even sure if we were going to get in front at all, because most of the people that have taken out a subscription have taken that out with 20 bets, and that's what I ask them for. Of course, the idea is 50 bets, but it's quite expensive to send 50 bets in, you know, to try and sort of just get a profit by the end of the month. And this isn't about a monthly profit, this is about a continuing profit. So you would have been £11 up. So it might not seem a lot, but you're doing nothing to get to that figure. The hard work gets done at my end, and there is obviously a deduction from that £11.06. You wouldn't receive all of that because you're just investing, whereas I'm putting in the 15 hours work per day. But at the end of it, there was again today another profit. So let's see how we arrived at that, because there wasn't many races, because I'm only trying to limit it to a few meetings a day, but we're just going to try and basically do the flat for now. So we go down to the tab where it's got 24 on, and you'll see that we've done 5 races at Catterick and 4 at Gowran Park. We'll start with Gowran Park because I'm on this side. There was just 4 races that we could bet in there today. 2 were winners, 2 were losers, so we came out of their level. But if we go back to yesterday when Gowran Park was on, we made not a bad profit there. So I was happy with that. And Catterick, we started off very well there with a winner. Then we had a part winner that nearly got our money back. Then we had a winner, and it was only in the last race that we lost. So the profit came from Catterick today. So I'm pleased that we've made this, you know, these profits as we've been getting higher into the month, and then more continuous. So that's the good part about it. Maybe it's because we've got rid of all that rain, we'll never know. But I have changed the system, like going back halfway in the month when we were severely losing, I had to do something about it, whether I kept on with the same system I was using or tweaked it, which I did tweak it into lay bets, into value bets. And then I always had another system that runs parallel, and that was this one, and I thought this one's got to go to the 4, and we haven't looked back since. There's obviously going to be days where you don't win because that's gambling, but at least now we've got in front, and that's where I want to stay. We've only got another 6 betting days to the end of the month, and I'd be happy if we could just double the points what we've got there. So that is how we arrived at the profit. But of course, let's go back over the 9 races today, and we had the first 5 at Catterick. They're in order here. So the 212 was object, and again it's all done through Dutching. So we lay out a stake of £50 maximum, the last selection always having the lowest amount on it. Now I had an email, it wasn't yesterday, I think it was the day before, maybe the day before that, and they were doing it using software on Betfair. Now I can only think of Bet Angel anyway, but I'm not sure which one it was. But he said when I put them all those selections into the software, it just divides it all into 100 and does not equal stakes, but stakes to return 100 on all 5. But it will do, because this system isn't set up for software, right? We start with the top selection and we do it to return £100, like we do the second one and the third one and the fourth one, until we run out of funds. Basically, we'll do it to return £100, and that last race, or last horse I should say, will always get the amount of money which is left. So we'd staked £38.56 up to here, so we can only put £11.44. But when people are doing it on an email, it's very, very difficult to answer people in the way that you want to. So unfortunately, we drew a blank on that. I couldn't get it across properly. You can get it across properly. But you have to do every selection coming down the page there from top to bottom, descending order, until you can't put an amount that returns 100. Then the money that you have got on that last one is what you've got left. But as for putting them into software, the only way I can suggest is that you would do the top 4. The top 4 there, you're going to get 100 back. But of course, I think he was looking at just doing it in a way where he knew there was going to be 5 selections and thought it'd be easy if you just put it in. But again, if you want to do that, there isn't a problem. Or if you want to do the top 4 and think, well, the next one's not going to be enough, don't bother with it. Just do the top 4. But otherwise, it's if you listen to the way I do it on the videos every day, it's pretty self-explanatory, but it's not something for software. So again, we had backed 4 in that and Dr. Rio at the bottom, and our second selection down, Object, won that race. So that was our first win of the day. Then into the second race. I know we're not doing odds on favourites, but it's not the top selection, right? And because this is a completely different system that I'm using, perhaps I might go back into doing them. I'm not too sure yet. But this was our third selection anyway, so it didn't make any difference whatsoever. And that one did win, and that's the one that got our odd bit back of £47.12 today. So a slight loss, but not really, a couple of quid. Then into the third race. If you're out there and you're taking off the top selections here, then Tiger Bay was one for you. That came through at 4.4. And we also had the second in Origin Trail. And then moving into the fourth betting race, which was the 450. We had 5 horses here. And Wreck-It Riley was in front for away, which we had, but it was the worst one of the 5. And then Red Mirage, who was looking dangerous all the way, just came through and went away and won it convincingly. And good luck to Dave, he sent me a couple of messages today. I think he maybe not just part owns it, but he said he's got some kind of race share in the horse. And well done to you, Dave. And I'm glad that's one for you, and for us, of course. And then moving into the fifth betting race, which was the 525. We didn't have the first, second, or third, so it didn't really matter. But the top selection there, Jesmond Dawn, got hammered down to that price. It was about 7-2, I think, this morning. And yeah, this got taken all the way down to just over 11-8. Run appallingly, really. Never got up there. And I couldn't have backed either of those three that came through and finished first, second, and third. So we deserved a loss in that race. And that was our only loss because all the profit, as I said, came from Catterick. Then we covered the Irish meeting at Gowran Park. Unlucky in the first race, really. We were only 2 selections away of getting that winner. But we did manage to get the third, and that was about it there. So that was a loser. Then in the 505, the favourite won well here, Summer Snow, which we had. But we also had the second, so we sort of covered ourselves anyway, if anything had gone wrong with that. So that was a win. That was drawing us level after the first race. Then we took the lead here, and this was in the top race out, Joseph O'Brien, Express Over. And I'm surprised that didn't go off favourite. I thought it would have done. And again, if you were back in my top selections at 5.28, that's another winner for you. And yeah, that was basically it. We didn't get the second, third, or fourth, but it didn't really matter with any of that. We had the winner now. We were 2-1 up at Gowran Park, coming to the last race. And I feel like we were a little bit, well, we weren't unlucky in the way that we didn't get the first or the second. But it was only one selection as I'm going down. It was the next one we just needed. And this one at 36, it was the outsider. So I felt a bit unlucky there, really, that we didn't or couldn't get that. But other than that, it was an easy day for me. It made life a bit more easier. I've got in front again for tomorrow. Still only 2 race meetings for tomorrow. So that was how it went today. So a £97.12 profit, but as I said, that is to a £50 stakes. If you did want to join up, I've had inquiries again. You normally get inquiries when you start winning rather than when you're losing. But at least we've seen the highs and the lows, and there's been some serious lows for April, but we've finally got out of them. And as I said, what happens with a system like this, if you wanted to do this for £1, you would have to send in 20 times your stake. So that £1 would have bought you an 11.06 return, but you only receive 40% of that, because all you're doing is investing money to win. There's no guarantees in gambling, as we know, but I sit here for 15 hours a day to try to get these profits in, and that's where the other percentage would go. You would get 40% of that 11.06, and I would take the other 60%. And you've got to remember that I pay the fees on the betting site, and of course all you do is look at the results. You get sent the next day's selections, so you know what's happening, and at the end of the night you get the sheet to tell you what actually happened. And it's very easy to look back at the proof. It's all there for you. Timeform website, everything's there. So if you did want to join, let us know. We're coming to the end of the month. You can start when you want, or you can start on the 1st of May. The profit hasn't been great this month, but of course it's never going to be like that full time. But if you think that you may have, with a 40% there, say made nearly £4.50 for £1, it hasn't cost you nothing to get that. But of course I do mine for £50, so at £50 is going to cost you £1,000 to put into the system. I do have a lot of high amounts of people that have got big money in it, but I would have been up something like 552.76 for that £50 stake. So that's the difference for the more money you lay out. And maybe that's not a livable wage over the month, but you've got to remember it's not based over just that 1 month. We go back to March and we made 2,900, so we've got 3,400 in those 2 months. Then you've got to look at saying, well, that's pretty good money. But again, it's not over that period either. I do look to do this over every 3 months to see where I'm at. I mean, if you speak to or watch anything on YouTube on professional gambling, they will tell you over a year. And they will tell you that they have losing months. They don't just win on a daily basis, because if we all did win on a daily basis, there wouldn't be no need for bookmakers. That's why they're there. So that's the end of the results show for tonight. And we'll be back again after this video with the selections that are going to be there for tomorrow. So that's it, and happy punting for tomorrow.